What is an opinion you have turned 180 degrees on? Giving people life advice unprompted. Realized that folks are too complicated to think I'd give any useful advice while knowing comparatively little about them. Plus, half the time it was advice I needed to follow, not for them to listen. Social media. I came of professional age right alongside Facebook and thought it was going to be this great thing that brought people together. I was wrong about that. If it was really that bad, she would just leave. Then I was in an abusive relationship and realized that it's never that easy. If I eat this insert any rubbish food, I'll be fine. My body doesn't care. 30 years on, and yes indeed. The body did care. It tells me every day how much it cared. Well-traveled people are open-minded. I've met people who've traveled a lot but are still very judgmental. Edit grammar. I used to believe I was always right. Now I am nearly certain I am wrong most of the time. Cats. I used to think they were weird and I was allergic anyway, so they're probably bad anyway. Then I met my boyfriend and his cat is so in love with me. I didn't know cats could be this affectionate. Then I got my own cat. And that's when a pet became a partnership for me. That history was boring. But I think it was mostly the teacher's fault, used to hate history when the emphasis was on memorizing dates and names, so boring. But then I took a course where the book pitted each conflict as a two-side story and showed both viewpoints, and the tests were all writing about who you agreed with, and it was so much more fascinating. That junkies are human garbage. It wasn't until I was in the hospital for an appendectomy that went sideways. They had to slit me open stem to stern. I couldn't use the button for morphine, so they were pushing 4-Demerol through a PICC line. Best thing ever. I had to tell the nurse to start weaning me as I was enjoying it way too much and I could almost see the future. From that point on, I totally understood how people get hooked. The importance of the Oxford comma. I used to be against it because "and" takes the place of the comma. How young and foolish I was. That sex education shouldn't be taught to children too young. Then I read a story about a girl who read about sex education in a book and told her mom, "Daddy does this to me." Turns out Daddy has been sexually abusing her for ages. Used to believe that drunks and drug users were losers. Thanks, dare now I'm much older, have seen the evils of this world, have realized I don't even know one of how hard life can be for some people, and completely understand why people would do anything to kill that pain. Having a roommate. There are far more bad roommates than decent ones. It's not worth the headache. I'd rather work my ass off at work with a bunch of assholes than have to come home and deal with any other asshole than my own. I used to think HOAs were fine and served a purpose. Having lived in a condo for 6 years and being the treasurer of our HOA for 4 years because no one else was willing to do it, I will never live in a place with an HOA again. It's basically a few people doing all the work for free and the rest are complaining assholes who don't understand that there are rules so you can all live in peace under one roof. We sold our condo today. Merry Christmas indeed. Never again. Fuck HOAs. I was raised in a Christian household, and I used to have a real problem with gay marriage. Until my gay friend got married. Seeing how happy she was after she and her wife were married was a real eye-opener for me, because I know lots of hetero couples who aren't nearly as happy. Recently, another gay friend of mine also married her partner, and I couldn't be happier for them. I used to hold the suicide is selfish stance back when I was a teen 20-something, even after having completed a psych degree. I understand now that self-harm and suicide are symptoms of greater illness. I no longer view it as a choice in most circumstances. Mental health is fake and a bunch of people that just need to put on their big girl panties. And then I had a breakdown back in 2013. I was wrong. I was pro-soda, and I would drink disgusting amounts. Thank the genetic lottery diabetes doesn't run in my family. Now, water all the way, the real adult drink. Pretty much all of my opinions aside from my political ones. My God, I see my old Facebook posts and wince. I was so judgmental. Ironically, a lot of things I judge people for struggling with, I'm now struggling with. But I've also grown. I understand deep-rooted issues like abusive partners, poverty, systemic racism, etc. I now only judge people who wear socks with sandals, and even that is wavering as I've discovered how comfortable it can be. Elon Musk seems like a really savvy, chill guy. I used to be afraid of flying. Now working on my pilot's license. If we prevent building more housing, my neighborhood will keep its character and charm. Nope, instead it will price out my friends, become a haven for the well-to-do, and see an influx of homelessness. I was a left NIMBY and now I am a left YIMBY. That being feminine and or caring about your looks meant you were a bad, selfish and shallow person. I don't wear makeup every day, but I have long nails. I take care of myself and I like picking outfits, seeing what colors and styles go together and how different things look on me. I recently tried a totally new hairstyle as well. I love experimenting with clothes looks, and that's okay, doesn't change who I am inside. I was insanely close to crossing over into extreme far-right ideology and neo-Nazism. Met an older native gentleman one night who sat down and talked to me. He listened and countered everything I said. Turned out he ran a debate club, so he invited me to join in. Over the course of 5 years, many beers, countless debates and a lot of lost rounds of pool, I realized how stupid I was being. I now hold a democratic socialist view and look at the world differently. He saved my life out of the kindness in his heart. Used to never say no, now I say no to so many things and have never felt better. Life is too short to do things that you don't want to do. Gym. When I was an overweight teenager, I used to think that place was hell. The recurrent thought was narcissistic and full of themselves, people who might judge, bully, make fun of me there while I'm trying. Now I'm 25 and I hit the gym 2 years ago, and I think it's the best environment I've been in my entire life. It's so relaxing, rewarding, people are usually nice, helpful, and you feel you're part of a community, something I've never felt while I'm in college or during a part-time job. 2 more light-hearted things. Cheese. Used to hate it as a child. Robo-umps and MLB. Now in favor. Legalize pot and gay marriage. Growing up in the 1950s and 1960s, those were ridiculous ideas, completely ridiculous. Support for them would have been in the single digits, if that. Times change. Experience teaches us surprising things, and rational people evolve their opinions and beliefs as they learn. Now it seems ludicrous to think back to when people were arrested for personal use of pot, or that gay people haven't always been able to marry. Addiction. Young self would say just quit, man, or just don't let it control you when I heard of people struggling with addiction. Then I became an addict. And then I fought to get clean, and holy fuck. Seeing how I got addicted so easily, how life was as an addict in the battle to get and stay clean. A wild ride. So now all I can reasonably do is offer an ear or advice if it's sought. And also I see the addict as a sick person as opposed to what I used to think. Life comes at you fast. I used to be of the opinion that the government should not be in the business of marriage because they shouldn't be allowed to tell me who can be married. Now I believe the government shouldn't be involved in marriages because they shouldn't tell me who can't get married. Definitely mental disorders. After being diagnosed with anxiety, I can confirm that you can't just snap out of it. And it makes no sense. It's how your brain is wired. I've done a 180 on gays, Christianity and transgender people. 180 on alternate lifestyles in general. 180 on Republican Party, but the Republican Party has done a 182. You need a partner to be happy in life and find purpose. No, you absolutely do not. Lots of racist shit I believed in high school. I grew up Catholic, and was very pro-life. When I got to college, I started to realize, life is very complicated, and everyone has different circumstances. It shouldn't be preachers and politicians dictating what a person does with their body. Libertarianism is a good idea. I was young and I hated corruption in the government, so I just reasoned less power to the government, less corruption, and I believed that less regulations would lead to prosperity. Then I learned of all the things companies do to earn just a little more money. Minimum wage jobs going up to 15. I used to be against it, until you realize how much inflation and other livable costs have gone up exponentially compared to federal minimum wage. They are getting price cuts every year as inflation goes up. You have to keep up with wage pay. Plastic surgery. I used to low-key judge people for getting it for cosmetic reasons and not, I had cancer that obliterated my face, so it would be nice to look human again. I've had a bunch of non-optional non-cosmetic surgeries and it put my body through a hard time, so unless your life depends on it for you, my definition of that always included gender-affirming work. I used to think no one should go there. As I've gotten older, I've just decided that people should just do whatever the heck they want with their bodies. Lol, I know, how nice of me, huh? 2005 I thought climate change was nonsense. Now I think we are about to be in a world of pain. 2011 I thought Channing Tatum was an emotionless toad of an actor. 2012 he turned on the charm. Abortion. I used to think if you're mature enough to engage in sex then you're mature enough to deal with potential consequences. Now I feel that if a woman has determined she does not want to be a mother then she should not have to be. Could be because of medical or financial issues, absent partner or family support, or simply lack of desire, among countless other reasons. Forcing someone to raise a child is cruel to be mother and child. Nuclear energy. I went to school where the teachers were pretty left-leaning and they would constantly crap on nuclear energy while glorifying the renewable sources like wind and solar. I'm sure we've all heard the terrifying disasters of Chernobyl, Fukushima, and 3 Mile Island, which have been the only nuclear disasters ever recorded in nuclear 60 years of operation. I was so anti-nuclear until I started doing my own research. Nuclear should be the future of the world energy and I don't know how people are still against it. I was raised fundamentalist Christian. Where do I start? Same-sex marriage. Formerly against until I realized I couldn't think of a single reason why other than tradition. The death penalty. Because of my personal experience with it and love of true crime, I supported it. Now, I realize it's very unfair and fails way too often. Too many innocents. Even one innocent person is too much when life without parole is the same thing, if not worse. I used to be a big hater of incorrect grammar, spelling, and those insane Disney fonts people use on their phones or whatever. Then I talked to a coworker who is an English as a second language learner and has dyslexia and he said those fonts help me read so much better, and correcting his grammar feels fucked up since he's better at English than I am at Spanish. So I have been much less of a dick about it. There are so many. I don't even know where to start. Used to be one of those the market will fix it people and now I'm just fucking legislate it. Used to be vehemently anti-tipping and now I think it's at least better than the alternative. Used to think dry curing bacon was where it's at and now I'm pro brine and tumble. Really everyone should have plenty of examples. If you don't it means you refuse to learn. And learning is cool. There's no shame in being wrong about something. The shame comes if you won't admit it. I grew up thinking gay people were going to hell. Then I discovered I didn't believe in hell and that being gay isn't a sin or anything bad. And that actually helped me realize that I am bi. Used to make fun of vegan friends to no end. Became vegan years later. When I heard Trump might run for president for the 2016 election, I thought it would be a good change of pace to have a business person in office versus a politician. Man, was I wrong. I used to think keeping yourself innocent and pure until marriage is good, but I think as I get older, I realize if a man wants to cheat on you, he will cheat on you regardless. I think having a few relationships prior to marriage is good. It taught me a lot. The Mormon Church. Can't believe I wasted 26 years of my life believing that shit. I used to think gay people shouldn't be allowed kids because a child deserves to have that experience of one mother and one father. But I've since seen that two same-sex people are able to raise children in a healthy way. Vaccination. I was not a fan. Now I am. Elon Musk is a pretty cool guy. I might want to work at SpaceX when I graduate. I grew up pretty racist against black people, and also believed that poor or homeless people just weren't trying hard enough and or were getting what they deserved. Thankfully I moved away from my hometown and right-wing father and have completely changed my views on all things related to the above. Traveling the world, living in a city, and reading books did a lot for me. Olives. They are so amazing and I can't get enough of them. I used to think they were disgusting. Gay marriage. I used to think it was gross and weird, but now I understand it's just people different from me trying to be happy. Spicy food.